We're talking about getting rejected, and that is going to trigger a whole new wave of emotions. No matter how much you let go, no matter how much you get present, a rejection is always going to feel some way. And that's a good thing. I want you to look forward to that emotion. Just like Angela said, you can get a high off of getting rejected. It's a painful little spike, but it's definitely not going to hurt you. And in fact, it does clearly make you stronger for the next interaction, because you realize that it just doesn't hurt to get rejected. It just doesn't really hurt. It's just a pinch. It's just one sound in that rainforest of your mind. And of course, the world out there will tell you, oh, it's such a bad thing, you shouldn't approach because you can get rejected. The world will tell you that you shouldn't approach at all in the first place, because you'll get rejected anyways, and because it's inappropriate, and because people don't respond well to it. All of those are beliefs that are implanted and propagated through existing incumbent technologies. Of course, most of the market economy doesn't benefit from us approaching a girl today. That's just not something the hotel benefits of. It's not something the restaurant benefits of. It's not something the app companies benefit of. They'd rather like us to believe that you can only meet people through the app, through going to a bar, through going to a restaurant with your friends and waiting for ages until the right friends bring the other right friends together. They don't want us to believe that. You don't need all of that shit. I don't remember when I've been to a restaurant the last time, or a bar for that matter, to meet people. There's no need in the summer to go to a social venue. I can be out here and meet a lot of people. And when I need actors for reels that I make on Instagram, I walk around and just talk to people. And the third person on average ends up becoming an actor for me, or an actress. There's all sorts of twisted beliefs around dating. And another belief is that it should just happen. It should just happen as a kind of result of your life, naturally. A lot of people are not here today because they say, I'm not sure if I want to work on this, because it should just happen along the way. And then they wait 5, 10, 15 years and it doesn't happen. Another idea is that you just have to make money, right? As a man, just make money. It's actually a belief that Indian and red pill culture have in common. I work a lot with Indian men. I'm also half Indian myself. Indian culture and red pill culture have a few things in common. One of them is the belief that as a man, when you make a lot of money, the woman will come almost automatically. Run behind the money and the girl will run behind you. I even have a group of clients who went out to a bar once, and after getting rejected by a group of girls, one of the guys from the group went back to the girls and he said, "Why? We have lots of money." Didn't help. In the end, it's not about money, right? It's about how you feel. And that's why we talked about that today. How do we feel? And right now, I'm getting a little bit of a high from seeing a beautiful woman. I want you all to notice that woman over there. And just ask yourself, how does it make you feel when you look at a beautiful woman? There's excitement, right? There's a bit of adrenaline.
Inspires you.
Right? It inspires you, right? It inspires you, it motivates you. And that's a great feeling. And if you can tap into that while you're talking to her, she will sense that this is real, this is authentic. That's why we do this kind of emotional stuff, to be able to feel those emotions instead of being overwhelmed by the anxiety that's also going to be there. But that's going to add to the tension. That's going to also be cute in a way if you can show that you're also a bit nervous, but also just inspired and shaky in your legs. And in the end, the best emotion is obviously when you feel like, my life is a movie, my life is the best movie that I can imagine, and everything is just miraculously beautiful, kind of magic for me. And you're the director, and you're the writer, and you're the main actor in that movie, all at once, right? You can just design basically everything, at least when it comes to what you do with your body, and that's enough freedom. I don't need the world to be different. The world is pretty amazing the way it is. I wouldn't change a thing.
Just think it's a dream.
Some spiritual traditions would say this is all a dream, the dream of God. And in a way, we're all co-creating that. These are beautiful emotions, right? And it's important to feel something in that moment when you approach. Please come in, welcome. We're doing a spiritual self-help group here. Oh, but you look spiritually enlightened. In fact, I would say that every single moment in your life you have that decision on how do you want to feel and how do you want to think about your life. Do you want to think of your life as, oh, the world is kind of crushing me? Or do you just think, I'm going to do the best thing that I can do right now? And for me, usually that is speaking up with a bit of a stronger voice, or standing a bit more upright, or maybe putting a little bit more emotion into the speech. Because I know it helps me to connect with you, and it helps me actually get into a flow state here. And there's all these decisions that all of you can make in every single moment. And once you start seeing the world like that, you never complain. Because there's way too much that you can improve about what you are doing. It just never ends, right? There's so much that you can improve. Why would you ever even have a moment where you say something else is wrong? There's no time for that. But it only works if you believe that it's possible, because otherwise you won't even come to these events, you will not actually reach out to people, stay in touch, do this more regularly. You won't do it with the right energy, you'll half-ass it, and you'll obviously fail when you half-ass something like approaching a stranger.
Maybe you need to change your belief system.
You have to change your belief system, guys.
Mindset.
Okay? And everyone talks about this, mindset. What is that actually, right? That is your worldview, your paradigm of the world. And it's not so easy to change that, because usually the only way it changes is if you have new data, experiences. If you see a blue human being, you're going to believe that blue human beings exist. If you don't see a blue human being, why would you believe that it exists?
Aliens.
Yeah, right? So how can you make yourself believe things that you've never seen? You've never seen yourself talk to a girl and within 5 seconds take her hand and within 2 minutes kiss her. Maybe you've never seen that before. Who has seen that here? No judgment, yeah. Some have seen it, some have not. If you haven't seen that before, but you want to make that happen, it's going to be almost impossible for you if you don't start believing it before you see it. And the way you do that is you simply say it out loud to yourself. You simply say that I can connect with women quickly. By saying that, you create dissonance. By saying, I can connect to women, but I've never done that. Maybe I've never connected, I've never even talked to women, but I say I can connect to women. It's going to hurt your brain. It's going to cause some cognitive dissonance, and that has you have two options after that, right? The first option is you stop saying it, because it's painful to say it. The other option is you keep saying it. You say it over and over again, and then you have no other option but to find a way to actually make that reality happen. So one way you could see mindset change is just don't stop saying it. Because if you say it, you cannot tolerate the difference between what you say and what you experience, and you will make it happen in the real world. So people who can just say, I can connect with people well, for 2 or 3 months, who can just not stop saying that, they will get results. That's as easy as it is. If you can commit right now to say that every morning and actually feel it in that moment, maybe visualize it as well, you're going to get results. That's the problem though, that most people don't have the ability to commit to any kind of habit. Oftentimes they also don't have the ability to commit to relationships. They have a general problem with just pulling through and also with trusting authorities. They want to figure it out on their own, and if it doesn't make sense or it doesn't work after 2 times, they say no, let me check out some other mentor, let me check out this. Most people don't have the ability to even focus for long enough to understand what I'm just saying. Okay? I got your attention here because I'm here and I'm kind of talking with a loud voice, but some people are already losing me. Some people have heard it already before. So very few people, maybe half of the people here are actually able to follow me right now. Okay? Some disagree, and I'd love to have a conversation, but some have just switched off because their brain is used to 20-second Instagram clips. This is the biggest problem that I see with personal development right now. People not having the ability to focus more than half an hour. But once you start believing, of course, it's not enough. You need to then act. And as I said earlier, that'll happen automatically, because when you believe, you cannot believe something that you're not seeing, for a long time. That's too painful for our brain, and we're making use of that psychological mechanism and thereby forcing us to make the reality correspond to our beliefs. And then it's just about focus and also sacrifice, because you'll have to sacrifice some things to be able to do something consistently. A lot of people start these kinds of personal development journey and then they're getting distracted by parties, by drugs, and get drunk every weekend. And if someone has a big dream and they're not making it happen, let's say they want to transform themselves and they want to get really good at something and they're just failing, but then I see them on the weekend getting drunk, I also don't respect that person anymore. Because that person doesn't mean what he's saying. That person is conflicted, and alcohol and drugs usually just don't help you achieve meaningful goals in life. Okay, they're good as a relaxation, but when you're struggling with a goal and you really want that, then that's one thing you can sacrifice, because you can relax better or at least as good without drugs. But then once people actually get serious about it and they sacrifice and they focus, they usually get results. This is what I see now after doing this for 3 years. There's many examples. Some of them are here among us who have transformed themselves. It is possible. And I think it's also important to celebrate whenever you have the feeling that you just transformed a little bit. And for me, every time I come here, it's a bit of a celebration. Every time I come here, I come with a rough idea of what I want to talk about, and then I kind of improvise this little speech here. And it gets a little bit better every time. Sometimes it gets worse, but on average it gets better. I don't care if it gets better or not. Actually, I just celebrate every time I come here, because I know exactly where I was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I would obsess about this speech for 2 days. I would write a script, and then I would still fumble and mess it up. Now I take half an hour to think about some points that I want to mention that are just swirling around in my head for the last week, and then I prepare for 10 minutes, and then I'm happy with the result. This is progress, and I'm celebrating that every time I come here. It still gives me a little bit of fear, the same way that you might be a little bit afraid of talking to an attractive woman. And that's a good thing. You want to be at that point where it still feels a bit giddy. So learn to celebrate small successes, and I want you to take that into your session today. Every interaction is a small success because you overcame some inertia, you overcame some resistance, and that's all that personal development is. It's fighting your own resistance. And every time you do that, no matter what the world gives you, you are successful. So give yourself a little tap on the back. I don't know how you do that. I do it by going out and having a drink or having a good dinner, or even just like walking around and without anything to do, without even an ear pod, without even any audible audiobook, just walking and actually enjoying the moment for a moment. That's a celebration for me. Learn your own celebration. One last thing, because I'm talking a lot and some people on Instagram say, "Who asked you? Shut up, man. Go and fix your own stuff." I wanted to comment on that because it actually made me think, who asked me? No one asked me. No one asked me for my opinion. And that's the reason that as a young man, I didn't express that much, because I thought, if no one asked me, why should I express? I had a lot of opinions, but they kind of were edgy, and oftentimes when I expressed them, I actually lost friends. I lost dear friends and family members because of my real opinions. They disagreed. And it turns out most people out there disagree heavily. But when I started expressing without being asked, because most people don't want to know my opinion, I started finding the 1%, the small niche on the internet that actually agreed with me a lot and that were so happy that I was articulating those ideas, because they also didn't feel like anyone else wanted to hear it. In the modern times on the internet, 1% is all you need, because that's a huge mass of people. And that's what I'm building my business on. And it's the same out here. You'll meet 300 people, maybe 500 people in a year if you go out like this 2 or 3 times a week. And of those, you only need 1 or 2 to be really aligned with you. That's going to be the person who's actually going to end up being a partner for you. Don't try to please the 300, okay? Try to find your edge and express that without being asked, And then that one person out of 300 will be like, thank you so much for being who you are. Thank you so much for being you. And that's my definition of being yourself. Not being scared to scare away the 299 people. And trusting that there'll be one that actually likes you for who you are